We did all of the tech run-throughs and all of the practices, and I thought this would be easy. But it's not hard because I don't know what I'm going to say. It's hard because how do you let me get up here and talk about something I love? And if any of you all have ever loved something, you know it makes you absolutely irrational and incredibly difficult to talk about. So for the next few minutes, indulge me. See, when I was a teacher and in education, we're very comfortable talking about our outcomes. We measure things and the impact we can have on test scores, the number of parents we can get into our buildings. But for me, to talk about a material solution to the teacher shortage, that's not an abstract concept. See, in 2006, I went on my first and last college visit. I went to some small liberal arts college you've probably never heard of called Knox in the middle of nowhere. And I got off a train, which was my first time taking an Amtrak, and I fell in love. I knew I was going to go to college, which was a bit difficult for me because if at any point in my high school experience you asked me what I wanted to be when I was older, I just wanted to be alive. Now, granted, you might have caught me on some really good days where I would tell you I wanted to be alive and happy, but the idea that a career, a life outside of what I knew, even with my high school telling me that our mission was college, in my heart of hearts seemed foreign. And so I stood on a campus and I went to education classes. I walked around and I saw the freedom that people had. I saw the lack of concern for what would happen the next day. And I said, I could do this. Now, granted, I dealt with some of the same concerns that every college student goes through. And maybe you went through as well. Am I good enough? Can I do this? If I get on this campus, will I be successful in the ways that I want to be? And after another train ride on which I held my Knox College t-shirt as one of my most prized possessions. I don't know if you've ever seen the random person on a train holding a package, but that was me. I was like, I can't get this dirty. I'm going to wear it. It's going to be great. And I told my mom a few simple truths. I'm going to college, I'm going to Knox, and oddly enough, I'm going to be a teacher. Now that's odd because you might not have pegged me in my first few years as hoping to be a teacher. I may or may not have been one of those kids that, much like Stacy, they tried to find other places for them to go. But sometimes those hardest cases are hard because no one asks what's actually happening at home. Sometimes those hard cases are hard because that's how they have to get through every day. And I knew that if I was allowed to be a teacher, that I could see myself in all those students and I could show them that something was possible. And in having this very personal and proud conversation, my mom gave me one of the most sobering lines she's ever delivered in my life. I'm so proud of you. Now you need to figure out how to pay for it. See, because I wasn't first generation. I was first in my entire neighborhood. The day that I went to college, my trunk party was filled with people who took the last of their dollars to buy me little things that they thought would help. I had people burn up the last of their link cards to get me groceries because they thought I would be hungry. I had people use the last of their money to drive me down. And so this meant everything to me. And so I went on a marathon spree of filling out applications, whether I persisted or not. I've never met a math class I couldn't fail, but I was going to try and get a math scholarship. I tried. Needless to say, I didn't get it. But then one of my high school teachers told me that there was a teaching scholarship, and I should apply. And I did. And I took every little bit of my AOL internet to look into how do you describe, hey listen, 56K modems, we will never forget you all. I wouldn't be here today without them. But I took every last ounce of what I had and tried to pour it into those essays. I tried to capture the love that my grandmother had given me and the way that she cared for people in our community. I tried to capture the way my mom, quote, robbed Peter to pay Paul to make ends meet so that we didn't lose lights and heat. And I hope that if I could just show a bit of that, if they could see the type of person I was and the type of teacher I wanted to be, then I'd get in. And I made it to the interview portion. And I left my interview and was convinced I had failed. And I called my mom, tearful in a taxi, and said, we're gonna have to figure out something else. I didn't show them I have the heart of a teacher. I didn't show them that I belong. Which is why it was incredibly somber when she brought in a huge pile of mail with a letter from the Golden Apple Foundation in it. We didn't even bring it into the full house because I was so convinced that it was full of bad news and I didn't want that. And so when we opened it, I cried. I dropped to my knees, and my mom is 4'11". There are very few times my mom has been taller than me. But I cried, and she cried, because we knew that this was more than just one opportunity. This was everything. See, when I talk about Golden Apple being life-changing, I'm not just giving some platitude or some statement. Golden Apple has been life-changing for me and continues to be for teachers and students across the state. Earlier tonight, my former teaching mentor, Kisa, said that Golden Apple sees the experiences of teachers and principals. I know that because it was true for me. Rosie mentioned that mentors see our scholars, and what she didn't tell you is that our mentors will tell our scholars flat out, wherever you are in the state, we'll be there. I know that because it was true for me. See, Golden Apple has been there with me every step of the way in some form or fashion. During my undergrad years, when we lost our house and I considered a future where I potentially, maybe, probably was not going to finish, I called someone at the Golden Apple office and asked for advice. When I was so stressed from teaching that I thought, can't do it, great idea, love the kids, can't do this, I called my mentor. When I lost my brother, when life hit and kept hitting, when I wondered if I had enough, when I wondered if I was enough, I called on my fellow scholars. I called on my friends. I called on the people that I sit in community with every week now in Golden Apple. And so now I'm here. I am the Director of Undergraduate Scholar Support Services. I work with some of the best universities in the country, and I would say that to anybody because what we have here is like none other. I get to work with our university partners to ensure that the potential of our scholars isn't just recognized, it's supported, it's nurtured, it's tailored to in every experience that they get, because we understand that the journey of a great teacher starts with a great undergraduate experience. It's my job to recognize that just because they're golden doesn't mean that life is going to stop hitting them, but we can at least show up. We can be there in those quiet moments that those students need, because we in turn know that when their students are struggling, when their students go quiet, when they feel like they're not seen, they'll have the skills, they'll have the love and the capacity to show up. I know the impact that Golden Apple has on the lives of people because it's had that impact on my life. To the point that recently, during a campus visit at National Louis University, I was actually face to face with one of my former students. And I remembered this kid. All right, can't tell her I said this, she was a pain, but I loved her. I did everything in my power to make sure that this student could be successful. We met with parents, we coordinated support services, we got an IEP, and when she graduated 8th grade, it was one of the greatest moments of her life until she stood and told me that she wanted to be a teacher for early childhood. My life has shown me over and over again that there will be challenges, that life will be unrelenting in its pace and at times unforgiving in its consequences. But my students, my community, my mentors, my scholars, the ones sitting at your table, they've made me believe in our collective ability to be better. I'm here tonight because of your support, because of your faith. But I'm also here because our shared belief that the world can be a better place isn't falling on deaf ears. And I know that together things can be better. We've already proven that. The thing that we have to prove, that we can tonight, is that collectively there is no challenge that we can't face. There is no empathy gap in this room. I have seen enough to know that the hearts of the people here and the people we represent care enough about the students that we serve and must serve, and the teachers we support and must support, to not just be a material solution to the teacher shortage, but to be a foundational presence in the lives of our next generation and the generations to come. Thank you.